Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Kurt Benedict Chishan, here to you all to present my individual PIT in our subject MIL, titled Before You Share, Stop. But wait, let's stop for a second. Let's look at the word stop. Why is it why is it filled with many thoughts? Could it be an abbreviation for something later on in the video? Well, we will find out later. But first, let's move on. Let's first go to our outline. So, in our outline, so you can know what you're expecting, we are going to be discussing the different types of fake news. We are going to be discussing and defining disinformation, misinformation, and malinformation. We're going to identify examples of each type of information. And we are going to give, and I am going to give you an analysis on how they are disinformation, misinformation, and malinformation. And after that, I'm going to give you the definition of STOP or stop so you yourself can fact check as well. Now let's move on. Why is fake news so important though? Do any of you know why? Well, I do. In a country such as the Philippines, where the social media usage is very high, it is important to know what is real and what is not. Fake news is described as a plague that is contaminating our city. It is a virus that has no cure. However, we have a prevention, and that is our subject MIL. Though it is only limited to a select few, such as those who have access to quality education, it is still better than nothing. Now, what are the different types of fake news? First, we have satire. This is basically when an information is presented in a fake or playful manner, such as the Philippine national rugby team qualified for the Olympics. False context. It is basically where the information is true, but the headlines, the articles, the caption is presented in a way that is not coinciding with the picture or the content as well. False connection is basically when where there is also a correct or a true information being presented, but it was presented in a way where it has no connection to the actual topic, to no relevance to the topic, no correlation. Or what about clickbait? It's basically when the title or the thumbnail is fake. Oh, Duterte and Taylor Swift met in Washington? Are you for real? But if you look at the video, they didn't meet at all once. Fabricated content. From the term fabricated, you can conclude that this is content that is entirely 100% fake. Manipulated content, however, is partially true. However, they left out some truths, so it's harder to distinguish them from lies. Now for imposter content. This is basically when I try to pose as somebody or something that I am not. Let's say, for example, my school. I am from USTP. If I try to pose and act as if I am from USTP and try to give news like I am them, that is considered imposter content and illegal. Misleading content, however, is also true information. However, the information presented is cut out many other things and only select few truths and only a select few truths are put in the bundle of lies. Propaganda is as many of you know is present when an information is presented to us in a way that it obviously supports one side. We're going to tackle on more to that later. Let's talk about information disorder. Disinformation, misinformation, and malinformation. First, let's move on to disinformation. This is basically false information deliberately spread and created to manipulate or deceive people. Piki na gani ang information, spread pa jud para mapasakit. Anak jud ang mga Pilipino. Now let's move on to misinformation. This is when an information is false, but it was shared without malicious intent. take me for example. Let's say that there was a popular trend going on in Facebook where classes will be suspended from 1 week. Me, I anonymously shared it thinking it was true. However, it was false or inaccurate. And we actually may have class next week. So what is that called? Besides, of course, your classmates getting mad at me, it's called misinformation. Next, let's move on to malinformation. Now, from the word mal, what is it short for? Malicious, right? Yes. So it is basically when information is true, but I shared it with intent to harm or manipulate people or deceive people. Do you guys know that one viral back in 2025 na ano, katong gold medalist daw na na-scandal, katong political sex video nila? That is basically it. When there is really a video about that, I'm not saying I watched it, but there is video about that, and they shared it with the intent to hurt on another person or to drag down another person. Now, let's move on to now let's move on to the summary. So basically, if the post has malicious intent, but the information is true, then it has malicious intent, but the information is true, then it is classified as malinformation. However, if the post has malicious intent, but the information is false, then it is classified as disinformation. However, if it has no malicious intent, but the information is false, it is classified as misinformation. However, if the information is true and it has no malicious intent, it is classified as just information. Next, let's move on to our one of my examples, which is disinformation. As I've said before, it is basically false information that is created deliberately to spread and to manipulate or deceive people. So I'm going to present this. The hashtag Stop Police Brutality PH or at the Pearl Lover said, iba din. Isn't this discouraging people from saving up? Ma-withdraw ko na yung 345 pesos ko at baka matax pa. Ha ha ha. At inilagay niya ang isang senado ng Pilipinas at sinabi sa caption, saving sa bangko may 20% tax na. Pero totoo ba ito? Hindi. Bakit? Tingnan nyo ito na isang na-post sa Department of Finance at itong video na ito na nagpapakita na totoo talaga ang Department of Finance nag-post dito malibang lang sa checkmark na nakikita nyo rito. Na the Department of Finance stated that this is fake news and that the 20% tax is not directly on your savings, but the income tax that you get or income savings tax you get from depositing into a bank. And this is not just supported with a Facebook voice. Recto, actually, Senator Recto actually debunks this fake news about the 20% savings tax. And before you say, consider done, how can we really trust this? Look at it. Philippine Information Agency. Do you really have no trust in our government to the point where an official website of the government you will have to question as well about being possibly fake? I thought so. Now, why is this fake? Hmm. Because the 20% tax comes from the passive interest from bank saving. Basically, when you deposit, let's say, 1,000, 10,000 pesos into the bank then gives you an interest of 1%, which is roughly about 100. Correct me if I'm wrong. I've never really been good at math. So after that interest is given to you, what's taxed is the interest. That is why the- it that is why it is it is emphasized here that the law primarily impacts the wealthiest 4% of savers in the country because they are the one that most benefits from the passive interest income from the bank savings. And this cannot, and we can actually debunk this by looking at the law, Republic Act 12-214, or otherwise known as the Internal Revenue Code of 1997, or the Capital Markets Efficiency Promotion Act. Basically, the gist of it all is that the taxation of passive income is equitable across all stakeholders and discourages arbitrage opportunities. See the wording passive income, not savings. And also, this also contradicts the previous post. The passive income tax system actually encourages savings as well as develop and deepen capital markets. Also, here is release of tax to prove that this is not just some information I pulled out of my ass. Passive income shall refer to any income that is earned from source that do not require a taxpayer's active pursuit and performance of trade or business and is not subject to VAT or value added tax imposed in this code. So basically, the claim that we are going to be taxed on our savings 20% is absolutely false. Or you might as well call it disinformation. Now, why is this important? Because this can cause public panic. This can reduce trust in banks such governments. And this can spread financial misinformation. This can also lead us, this can also lead people, this can also mislead economically vulnerable people. Why do I say that this reduces trust in the government? Think about it, guys. You are so comfortable with telling your friend your secrets, your past life, your past experiences. However, you cannot trust the government to give you your address. You cannot trust the government to handle your blood type. What if you accidentally got into a car accident and you have to manually check out, oh, my blood type is AB, my address is like this, my family member is like that, yada yada yada. It is so tiring. We give our information to Food Panda, Grab, just to get some some what's this material things such as food or rights. Yet we do not trust our government with our own data. That how ironic is it? Now, what type of fake news are these? This is what's called as misleading contents. As well, the post takes a real issue about taxation, but it presents it in a distorted way. Some part of it is well, it presents things like such as the 20%, which is false. Which is true. It is still false information because the context is all wrong. It removes important context from the actual law, making it disinformation. It also provides clickbait by scaring citizens. It also promotes imposter content by pretending that the post comes from official government websites. This also, can also exude some form of propaganda as it can be used against senators. Next, let's move on to misinformation, which is false information is shared by mistake or without malicious intent. Let's look at this video. So, now that the video is done, what can you see? It is all a load of information. What if it's the next COVID-19? What if it's the next coronavirus? And I'm here to tell you that this is not true. Hantavirus will not become the next pandemic. And I have proof to back it up. And my proof is those from research facility from Stanford, an Ivy League school in the Americans. Stanford Medicine News Center. Five things to know about hantavirus from a Stanford medicine expert. Now, this is very relevant because this hantavirus was discovered back in late April or early May, and the information is still relevant because this article was published back in May 12, 2026. Next, now let's move on. Let's first analyze this headline. Headlines this week have left people around the world whether we're on the verge of the next global pandemic. I want to stress this about you watching this video. It says here have left people around the world wondering whether we are really on the verge of the next coronavirus. And this just goes to show how much impact media has on people's opinion. Instead of bringing people together, instead of making people more connected, it has rather done the opposite. It has made people more conflicted, more distorted, and more polarized. Now, now let's go back to the main topic. Should you really be worried about the hantavirus? No, I wouldn't be worried, said George Salinas, a medical expert or the medical director of infection prevention at the Stanford Healthcare. So, as we all know, the hantavirus began to introduction when it was spotted near a cruise ship in the Atlantic. Now, why is this so relevant today? Because it is people are saying that it is going to be the next COVID-19. However, medical expert George Salinas said that your risk of getting hantavirus is very, very close to zero. And his first reasoning, the hantavirus mostly infects wild rodents. See here, in the last 30 years, CDC has logged 890 cases of hantavirus disease in humans. Why? Because the probability of you getting infected is really that low. This virus is only really found in those in wild rodents, which is basically very rare unless you live in the mountains or in not that good in a neighborhood where the sanitation is not the best. As you see here, infected animals might make their way inside of a cabin in the small mountains or a remote trench, but we're not. But we don't typically see them in suburban or environments. Unless, of course, you're absolutely disgusting to the point where you don't clean. Now, the study mentioned five reasons why you should not, five reasons about the hantavirus. Let's move on to the second and third and fourth reason. According to expert, the one that most likely killed Betsy Arakawa, the one who died on the ship cruise, it didn't spread from person to person. Somebody may have already been affected by the rodents, but then the virus and there. Now, TVR respiratory viruses like COVID-19 that are incredibly efficient at transmitting person to person. That's what they have evolved to do. However, hantavirus is not like COVID-19 or the flu. They don't transmit person to person. It only transmits when a few people come into close contact with an infected, an individual that already has the symptoms. However, don't expect it to spread very far because data suggests that transmission only happens between people to people who have regular close contact, people who have already shown signs of infection. So you need not to worry. But should you let your guard down? Absolutely not. Why? Because although the transmittable the transmutation rate of the virus is very low, it is still very deadly as there is no vaccine. As stated here by Sir Salinas, it clearly affects the lungs. However, they have no idea on how it attacks the cell lungs. And also, the reason why this has no cure yet is because this virus is very rare, which supports my statement earlier where the chances of you getting infected is very low. The virus is very rare, so there hasn't really been a lot of research put into it, Dr. Salinas said. Now, well, well, it is still risk. You can still wear an N95 mask in certain scenarios. As stated here by Sir Salinas, if you asked me last month, I wouldn't have predicted that we would see this on a cruise ship. Meaning, he had no expectation of it at all. It's just that rare. And it supports my statement, and his statement support my statement because he says here, I would still say that the risk of acquiring this particular rare infection on a plane or ship is very rarely low, and that your risk of acquiring something else on a cruise is much, much higher. However, just because it is, I know, very rare, doesn't mean you should let your guard down. So it's always a good thing in the solutions to prepare an N95 mask. So when you're sweeping in areas where, I know, it is very rodent infected, where there's a lot of piss from rodents or rats, or, or feces from them. So let's move on to the final one. Hantavirus is part of a much larger pattern. Have you guys noticed in coronavirus spread from rodents, spread from bats? It is part of something much bigger than we are anticipating. Given that the way the world is changing and our populations are growing and moving, viruses will keep on leaping from animals to humans, as what happened in coronavirus and what is happening here in hantavirus. So I expect this hantavirus to end, but it won't be the last. And it's a reminder that outbreaks can can occur in unpredictable locations. Now, in case you are not yet satisfied with an opinion from a medical expert from Stanford University, I have here another news from one of Canada's top doctors that was also featured in global news. The coronavirus during its peak time had a reproduction rate between 1 to 4. This meant that one person would get infected between 4 people. However, expert Kirchhoff, I don't know how to pronounce her name, I'm very sorry, said that this is not coronavirus. This is a very different virus. And hantavirus has been around for quite a while. Oh, and there is a lot of detail that we know. And she even states here that this virus is not the start of a COVID pandemic. This is just an outbreak that we see on a ship. That is how low the chances of getting are. Now, if you still don't believe me, I have here proof from United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction, where it states that the hantavirus is the warning that the world needs to improve our preparedness for an upcoming pandemic. It shows that the hantavirus outbreak isn't over yet. The caution is still needed because while the outbreak is likely to be contained, it provides a reminder to us about the importance of a globally coordinated response to such pandemic threats. Basically, this is a call to action on another potentially real coronavirus threat once again. However, it is not hantavirus. Now let's move on to a statement from World Health Organization on how to prevent hantavirus infection. As you can see here, the solution is very simple. You must keep your homes clean to prevent your rodents. You must seal openings that allow rodents to enter buildings. We must store food securely in order to not get affected by the rodents. Of course, we must practice safely and practice in areas contaminated by rodents. We must also avoid vacuuming rodent droppings like their feces or their piss. And we must avoid and we must dampen the contaminated areas before cleaning it. And we must also strengthen our hand hygiene practices. Now, why this will not be the no next pandemic? Because in order for it to be a pandemic or a global virus pandemic like during peak COVID, it must infect one, it must infect more, it must infect one or more people every, no, 4 people. And as seen in the hantavirus, not only does it barely get to that amount, the rate of infection is very slow, and the cases in which people are infected with the hantavirus is astronomically low compared to the viruses we had, the Black Plague, Ebola virus, the the coronavirus. So, nakuha ba ni hantavirus ang corona ni coronavirus? Hindi. Hmm. So, why is it important to discuss this hantavirus or this information? Because it provides us with false context. People can say, oh, a next outbreak is coming. The hantavirus is coming to take the crown. No, that is not the case, as the infection rate is very low. It can also be used to mislead us because, well, there may be an outbreak. People may drag it out. People may over exaggerate it into, into another potential coronavirus. Clickbait, same thing as misleading content. It can be used to promote drugs that conduct. Oh, you must use vaccine, this type of specific vaccine to combat the hantavirus. No, as it is not that serious yet. Also, false connection. This can be used to start false connections because while the information is true, that the information where it could be used from could be potentially harming the city or the government. And this can also be used as fabricated content because they will say that millions have been affected by the hantavirus, millions have died. And no, that is not the case. If that was really the case, then the world would be so much on high alert right now. That to the point where probably lang, this is me being hopeful, the wars would probably come to stop on mutual terms on a greater looming threat. And this can also be used as propaganda to make us distrust the government and health buildings even more. Next, let's move on to what's this? To malinformation. This is basically true information that is shared with malicious intent. Now, who has seen this video? It's basically when a fan wanted to take a picture with Duterte and the fan handed it something like maybe a shabu, like may abutan-abutanero. Let's see. Yung kamay ng nakapula mainabot sa kamay ni BBM. True handshake at diretso lagay sa bulsa. Sumilip yung PSG? Ano yun? Sachet ng tawas? Anong drama sa ganitong galawan ng harap-harapan? Pocha. May abot ka, no? Tingnan nyo ito. Isa na namang video ang nag-viral at pinag-uusapan ng mga netizen. Isang video na may palihim na inabot kay Presidente Bongbong Marcos sa pamamagitan ng pag-shake hands at mabilis naman itong binulsa ng Pangulo. Sorry. Ganito ang nangyari. Yung naka-red shirt, nag-handshake, nagbinigay kang President Bongbong Marcos at tinago niya agad sa bulsa. Kaya may na iniisip ng mga tao kasi fabricated ito, misleading ito. Hindi nila pinagkita ang totoong anggulo, sorry. Ito ang video, lamang ang mag-alam. Ito, itong video na ito na pinagkita ko ay basically it talks about how information can become distorted when the truth cut short. Now, I have evidences to prove this because if you're looking here, in a news there by the Philippine News Agency, official by the way, pna.gov.ph stated here that kapang that what they actually presented here, what they actually gave here was just a libel, I think. Uh, Sorry, no, it's a lapel pin, not libel. I'm very sorry about that mistake. And the video I just showed was the PCO's fact checker maging mapanuri that was posted to refute netizens claim that Marcos received prohibited drugs with a man who took a selfie from a recent public event. The PCSO stated na ginagamit ng ilang individual ang ganitong uri ng content upang mapalaganap ng maling naratibo. Basically, some individuals cut video short, cut important context or information out to spread certain narratives. This can be called as propaganda, especially when we are talking about President of the Philippines, Bongbong Marcos. And another statement here from the PCSO, when a video or photo is shared out of context, it becomes easy for some to mislead the public into believing misinformation. In the comment section, netizens' speculations and opinions can be noticed immediately. It added, now, Sir Dan, why is it here that it said that this is misinformation? However, ano, I put this in malinformation. This is because malinformation is true content, is true information shared meant to cause drama or meant to manipulate. In this case, the true information is the meeting. However, the manipulation context is basically when the people try to cut out the video, try to spread lies by editing the video and spreading false captions that are not true. Next is this is the picture of the lapel pin, that symbol. We can actually use this to confirm with the very similar striping here, as you can see here, which connects to this pin. So yeah, with a simple fact checking na lang jud, or a simple ano what's this called, a quick image reference search, you can quickly deduce that the information provided or the netizens' fear of Shabu was completely and utterly false. Now, why is it important? Because as what happened to Prince William, it can create false narrative, as seen here. Oh, what am I doing? Am I holding up the middle finger? No, this is the okay finger. I'm holding up three fingers just like Prince William. So this goes to show just how important MIL is, especially that manipulated content has become more abundant and contexts are being more false and false getting by the day. And well, I am not particularly a huge fan of Bongbong Marcos. It is also important to know that MIL is important, so you may not fall for propaganda such as this, where Bongbong Marcos partakes in illegal drug uses, in drugs dealings, progressive social, like that. So yeah, you must be very careful and learn MIL. So now, why do you think the Philippines is so prone to fake news? These are the reasons that I have come up. Heavy social media usage. You see it everywhere. Uy, Philippines mentioned. You can see it from every TikToker. Search TikToker Gani right now or YouTube and ask them for what country is their target audience. It will most likely be Philippines. And why is it that despite having such a huge social media usage, we get so easily deceived by fake news? because we have low media and information literacy, because of unequal opportunity to education. We don't have equal access to education, to properly educate these kids on what to see, on how to look at things properly from a new perspective. And also, we are very emotional and we're very political when it comes to polarization. I mean, look at Ruben Padilla. Huwag mo po akong sisigawin. Grabe, bading yarn. And look at that, guys. Senado, hindi gusto sisigawan. Paano kaya kung si Miriam Senator Defense Attorney, Iron Lady of Asia, at meron din tayong tinatawag na fast sharing culture. Mama, viral na ako. We pinaprioritize natin yung quick likes, yung viral para lang sa atensyon. Now, nandito na tayo sa stop. S. Source. Sino ba or who posted it? Trace. What is the original video, such image, such article? Other sources. Do credible organizations confirm it? And purpose. Why was it posted? Now, let's s- let's look at what I have done. Now let's look at the very beginning, which is the 20% income, which is the 20% savings tax thing. Now, stop. You can see who posted it is not a credible source, so we're looking for the credible source. And we're going to trace it back to the original, and we're going to find other sources that confirm or deny this, deny this post, which I have done by looking at the official Department of Finance post, where I have looked at into their Facebook, because sometimes this verified checkmark over here cannot really be trusted because there are times where you can just buy it off somebody. So, that is all for, the information I have presented to you. If you have listened properly to my explanation on the hantavirus, you know that this will not cause the next pandemic. This is not taking the crown of coronavirus. And yes, so to Duterte noon, to Bongbong Marcos dealing in drug abuses, that is also maybe not true, but in context of this, in the context of my example provided, it is not true, but it is just a label pin that was given to him by a fan. See here. So, so from everything that I have presented, can you guys see a pattern? It was all made, with the intent to polarize us. It was all made with the intent It was all made with the intent to split us apart. And this is the problem with Filipinos today. We have we have a very competitive nature that is not good even for us. Imagine this. We are so blessed with many corals. We are blessed with the most amazing sceneries in the world. We are blessed with a strategic aquatic location that the US, that the China is fighting for. Yet we cannot utilize it properly because or because of fake news such as these. It gets to a point where it becomes very sad where it becomes very sad to not just the present Filipinos, but to the future generations. What will come to be if this is the present we live in today? How much more corrupt can we be if this is how corrupt we already are? This is My presentation today is not just to make you informed citizens that knows how to tackle information, that knows how to identify fake news, but rather advocates of the truth. You will become someone that seeks the truth. You become someone that becomes a cure a finder of the cure to the disease known as fake news. You will become greatness. You will make the Philippines a better and great place again. So, before you share, you must stop and think. Have a blessed day. My name is Kurt Benedict J. Serdan, and I hope you enjoyed my video.